Did they sign? If the same person wrote 15 cards, that explains why no, and they don't do everything. The junior primary. It's a county election.
It's the code of management state law. Hello?
Sometimes I just...
We'll go ahead and start with the questions for Justin. We've got quite a bowl full. One of them I want to read right here says, so many moving parts connected, seems impossible to guarantee 100% integrity. I don't think you'll have 100% integrity on voting because somebody's going to cheat or try to cheat somewhere. Up where I live, we've had people stop by mailboxes and take voter ballots out before the election. People have had to come back because we live in such a rural county. Is that voter fraud? Yes. You're not going to stop all of it. I will tell everybody here in Fremont County.
Stop the mail-in voting.
They stopped the mail-in?
That's right.
Justin said it, and I'll reiterate. In Fremont County, Donald Trump won by over 10,000 votes. Cory Gardner won by over 10,000 votes. And every Republican on the ballot in Fremont County won. Fremont County is not the problem.
True.
The problem is probably in the Democrat-run counties of Boulder, Denver, Arapahoe, possibly Pueblo. But that's where, if there's any problems, that's where it needs to start and the looking, not Fremont County.
Thank you.
There you go.
I told Rick it's not fair if I don't answer the question too. As long as there are people willing to cheat, there's never going to be 100% elections that are not fraudulent. People are going to cheat. That's what people do. Not everybody cheats. We know that. But can you can you really say you're going to stop every individual from attempting to cheat?
From attempting?
From attempting, because sometimes they don't get through, sometimes they do. So can you 100% say you're going to stop voter fraud? And if you can't, that should answer the question.
Can I ask a follow-up question though?
The next question is, do you contact the DA for suspected voter fraud?
Use the mic.
Do I contact the DA for suspected voter fraud? So there was a lady that came in. She wanted to vote early because she really wanted her vote to count. And she's an elderly lady. And she's very special because she ended up calling like every other day or every week and always wanted a different office or always wanted the same office, but she was always calling the same number. And you know she wasn't all there. In fact, we've probably called the sheriff's office to do a welfare check because we hadn't heard from her for a while. And then she came in and on election day to vote, forgot she had already voted because she wanted her vote to count. Is that election fraud? Yes. Did she mean to do it? Probably not. There are times where we know individuals that are voting that may not mean to, and those are unintentional. And there are those out there that it is intentional.
Something like that reported yet?
All that's still reported to the DA, absolutely, and we do contact the DA for the signature fraud, absolutely.
But he hadn't answered you yet, right?
She has not.
Then that's been how many months?
She took office in January, I believe.
Okay.
But just like when I came into the office and there was stuff to clean up, she's also been on that route too. So I don't want to say that she is or isn't, because no communication doesn't mean she is or isn't. I just know we haven't had the communication back. Is that fair?
Can I ask a question, your comment, which I thought was extremely accurate? I'm here because my county's Fremont County, so that's where I start. That's where my voice is heard. So my hope is you hear our voices and then it gets escalated so that Colorado can have a full forensic audit. Is that, am I wrong with that perspective? Because if I'm at the wrong meeting, I'll go to the right meeting.
How are you?
Her question, so that everybody else hears it,
Yeah, thanks.
is if you believe there isn't voter fraud in Fremont County, or there is, regardless, where do you start? And if it's not here, where do you go? That's the question. And the question is, or the answer is, I guess, this is the place to start at your Republican Party. This is the place to start with local places. Because if you don't ask those questions and you don't get your answers, you keep going till you do. I will never discourage, ever discourage anybody questioning something. I will never ever discourage someone seeking the truth, seeking the facts. That is exactly what we're supposed to do as citizens of the United States, not just Republicans, not just Democrats, not just unaffiliated or other, you know, that's, if we don't question, then the government's in control, I guess, and not us. So yes, to answer your question, yes, you are in the right place.
Good. Because it felt a little like we weren't, like we're pointing the finger at Fremont County, but I don't think that's what we're meaning to do.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And I don't get that from anybody in this room, no matter, you know, there are people from in the county that I know very well. There are some from outside the county that I don't know very well, but I know you're from outside the county. And you're welcome to come to Fremont County, absolutely. That's the joy of having a free and being free, having our freedom, you know. Come here, that's okay. If the problem's not here, then maybe we can help you get with those groups that you feel where the need is. You know? I hope that answers your question. Let's go to this one. Photo, I'm assuming, is there voter ID in Fremont County? So when you go to the voting center, you need an ID. Most of the time it's photo ID, unless you're a registered voter and you have a change of address, which you need to prove your new address. So you can take in some other documents that are required by state law. When you're doing your ballot, when you initially register to vote, you need a photo ID, absolutely. I equate it to, if you guys don't mind me asking a question, who here still uses checks? You don't have to, sorry. You don't have to raise your hands because I use checks too. But if you use your check, do you always show your ID when you're writing, spending money out of your bank account? And not everybody can say yes.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people who still say yes, absolutely, right? So when you went to your bank, did you not have to show your photo ID that first time? And you did have to sign a whole bunch of documents that you probably didn't read and you're really wanting to get out of there, so you just kept signing? You're laughing, it's true. So in those cases, I can equate that to the signature on the envelope. We keep your signatures. They're private, they're confidential, no one else gets them. And we get them every single election. So we have a plethora of signatures in the score database that are confidential, no one else gets. And our judges look at your signature that you voted on the ballot, and then they look at all your prior signatures to see if they match. If they match, they're good. If they don't match, they send it to Tier 2 with a Democratic judge and a Republican judge to look at it, and if they still say no, then you get a nice letter from my office saying we need to see you with an ID. So I guess that indirectly answers the question, yes and no.
Does it happen very often?
That people come in and cure their signatures? Yes. But as I showed in the presentation, there are still outstanding cures from multiple elections.
Can you keep statistics on this stuff, right? And we can come and look at, like, how many times you go to adjudication and all that kind of stuff?
We have all those reports.
Yeah. And is that online?
No.
Do we have to request it?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you back up the machines before and after the election? If so, do you retain the files? So I'm going to reach out on a limb, and someone's asked We back up the election data. We do not do a complete image, if that's what this is referring to. And we do it before each election because we keep the election data from each election.
Why do we not do a forensic image?
It's not required.
I'm a computer systems engineer, I'll tell you why they ask. If you have something in that system, an algorithm of some kind, it can be designed to delete itself, but if you have a backup before and after, you'll see that the disks do not match them all.
Then
Basically,
you,
that's just the need.
hang on. Then you need to talk to our state legislature to get them to pass that.
Just explaining to you why.
And you're right, absolutely.
Well, I'm not challenging you because the times you've helped me, you've been very helpful. I'm certainly not pointing at you, I'm just
You're
saying
good.
that's where we're at.
Is that
To-
something you do voluntarily?
So if you have a question, please put them on a note card, please. And two, I'm not accusing anybody here of attacking me directly or my staff. So if it gets a little personal, I understand. You guys are here because you care about the election. If you weren't here, or you wouldn't, well, if you didn't care, you wouldn't be here. I didn't do this. Do you balance the number of ballots or the actual votes? We balance the actual ballots. The risk limiting audit does an audit on the actual votes.
So every night, and that was actually my question, sorry, every night when you said you balance them, you balance the number of votes, like?
We balance the number of ballots.
Number of ballots, okay.
When can voting rules be changed and what is the protocol for doing such? When was our last rule changed? So I'm only answering questions that have to do with Fremont County. This one in particular has to do with the Secretary of State's office. Which voting method is most reliable? Voting booth, on election day, USPS, voting drop box. Let's start with the top part of that. So it's up to you. If you feel like your vote's going to count in the voting booth and that's the only place, then you vote there. If you want to vote in the voting booth, vote in the voting booth. We have options. We do. If you want to drop it off in the drop box, that's under 24-hour surveillance, drop it off in one of the 4 drop boxes around Fremont County. If you don't trust the drop box, we have drop-off locations inside the voting center and inside the clerk's office. You can drop it off there. Do you want to use the USPS? I will leave that in your guys' grateful hands. Are Dominion voting machines going to be banned for 2022 and 2024? Probably not. Since, hold that thought. Sorry. It's staring at those screens all day has caused this to happen. Since county clerk and recorders are directed by Secretary of State, conditions of use and Colorado County clerks and recorders to ensure wireless devices are turned off in voting systems, how do you ever verify that the dual band wireless modems and the ICCs are off?
That CCR was Colorado Code Regulation.
Oh, sorry.
8 Section 1501.
There are so many different acronyms. I apologize. Thank you. And I may ask, because it's going to happen, did you write a whole bunch of questions down, Mr. Smith?
No, just that one. I've got a bunch more if you want.
Okay.
But
No, because your technical expertise is above my head, so you can ask and I'll say I don't know. So if you want to keep those and they're not or if they are, you know what I mean. So, to ensure wireless devices are turned off in the voting systems, how do you? Well, I don't, because I send my staff to Trusted Build, verify the dual band wireless modems are in and they are off. So we don't open them, and as you are well aware, that they are ordered as off-the-shelf systems, so they do have wireless modems. Well, wireless devices. And so the answer is, I don't. My staff check all this stuff and watch the Secretary of State's office turn them off in the BIOS.
What's the definition of over the counter?
Over the counter, stock, something that's already there. When did Trusted Build check your machines?
Special order.
When did Trusted Build? Trusted Build did not check the machines. I'm assuming this question is more of, when did Trusted Build happen? And who checked your machines? So Trusted Build happened a few months ago, and the machines where the Secretary of State came in and did Trusted Build. Dominion was there, Secretary of State's office was there, and my staff were there to verify that the settings that were supposed to be, or the things that were supposed to be turned off were turned off, and the upgrades were happened, and the virus definitions were updated. They made sure of that. Router, where is it? Was it looked at by Trusted Build? The router is in the server room, and Trusted Build didn't look at anything. I'm assuming you mean the Secretary of State staff, and I will assume that I don't have the answer to that question. Do you give tours of your office? Absolutely I do. In places that are not confidential areas that don't require two people to be in there, two staff or bipartisan judges, I do give tours of my office, on all aspects of the office, not just elections. I oversee motor vehicle, recording, and elections. So if you want to come in and have a tour of all of it, by all means. How long are ballots retained in my office? So federal law is 22 months. State law, however, is 25 months. So we retain those for just over 25 months.
Physical ballot?
Physical ballots.
In your office, or does it go to?
No,
the state?
absolutely not in my office, downstairs in the basement.
But I mean,
Yes.
in the.
Yes, they stay
They go
here.
to the state.
Ballots do not go to the state. They stay here in this county and they will not leave here.
Yep. I just wanted to clarify for others.
Did foreign-owned and foreign-built, Dominion-built SQL management or studio structure query language which allows the database to be directly logged into the change made? To whoever wrote this, I apologize. I do not have the answer to this question. Is that the same thing? Has foreign-owned and foreign-made Dominion scrubbed clean so-called update your files from 2020 election? Do you have a backup to preserve the files? So we do have a backup to preserve the election files, and it's not 22 months. State law is 25 months. Yes, I understand.
On that same thing, when they're doing these updates in these other states, and they're wiping them out. They do it on ours.
I don't know what happens in other states.
They do it on
This
ours.
is
We get our data wiped when they did the update.
not our election data. We back those up. Are the Dominion voting machines the same throughout the state? Do they have internet access? State law says they are not supposed to have internet access. We don't here in Fremont County. I cannot speak for the other 63 counties, but that is state law. Are the Dominion voting machines the same throughout the state? Yes, they should be. However, they probably will have a whole lot more in El Paso than they do here. And they probably have a few less in smaller counties such as San Juan. So, yes.
Are they all programmed the same?
Yes. Only counting ballots will give you a number, 10 apples. Have the ballots been counted and examined to verify they are legal ballots? Could look at 10 apples, but actually be 6 apples, 2 oranges painted as an apple, and 2 plastic apples. So let me try to, I'll try to answer this. The risk limiting audit proves that the ballots were counted statistically correct. The logic and accuracy test proves that the ballots and the styles of ballots were all programmed correctly into the system and counted correctly.
But the physical ballots, are they legal physical ballots?
We have to have physical ballots.
Right, I understand that, but they could all look like legal ballots. But if we don't forensically look at the ballots, it could be only 6 of them are actual ballots, and 4 of
Okay, so-
them are,
Okay, I understand, okay, I see what you're saying now. So the voting centers print off the ballots right there. The ballots that come in through the envelopes are balanced with the envelopes. So if you're talking about excess, no. If you're talking about randomly stuffed or put in place, again, that would be the indirect accusing election judge of adding
No.
ballots.
anybody can go stuff any amount of mail-in ballots that they want, but that doesn't mean it's a real ballot.
And then they have to be checked by the signatures of the envelopes, and if they don't, if they are bad at signatures, they get to level 2, a tier 2, where bipartisan judges look at it, and if they're still rejected, a cure letter is sent out. And if they don't respond to the cure letter and say, yes, I did vote because these are sealed ballots, then that information is sent to the district attorney's office for investigation.
So you verify the signatures on every,
Yes.
like,
On
if
every
there's like
envelope?
10,000 votes, you looked at all of them?
I do not,
But someone
bipartisan
did.
judges do,
Someone did.
absolutely.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes.
I get to use my rare talent, reading cursive. Is it possible for a ballot to it's a rare talent indeed. Be blink through a scanner more than one. Oh, scan through the scanner more than once, I'm assuming. And if so, is that monitored? In the same. Are there no more barcodes anymore? Okay. So, if I'm reading this correctly, somebody wants to know if the scanner can scan ballots multiple times. And the answer is yes. How is that stopped? We have that physical component. A person will scan in 25 and produce 25 images and balance those images to the ballots that are scanned. And then we balance in the ballot room, because that's where the scanner is located, every night the amount of ballots we have and the amount of envelopes we have. So if there's extra ballots, this doesn't happen. If so, how is it monitored? Bipartisan team of judges and staff are all in the same room at the same time. The second part of the question is, are there always an R&D during polling operations? There has to be, there has to be a minimum of an R and a D in a room at all times. Our current president just lost the country. I'm going to hope I read this correctly. We've found, but for 20 years and left Americans behind, why is the topic tonight a Fremont County? Nobody I know has challenged it. Yes, this is about election integrity only in Fremont County, and so I don't have an answer to your question. Fremont County election procedures sound professional and proper. How might it be different if your office was run by Democrats? Okay, let me answer this question in a very indirect way. Was anybody here when Norma Hatfield was county clerk? Who questioned Norma Hatfield's integrity? She was a Democrat in this county, was elected, was in that office for 30 years plus, and no one questioned her integrity. The office, regardless if it's run by a Democrat or a Republican, there are laws, rules, and regulations in place, and I would hope you have the same faith in me as you did Norma Hatfield, and if not, I encourage you to come in and be an election judge and keep me honest. Or come in and talk to me and question and keep me honest. Hope that helps.
She didn't always vote Democrat.
Justin, please run for re-election. We need to keep integrity in our elections. Thank you. That wasn't a question, that was an exclamation mark. Secretary of State, do you check to, oh, okay, thank you. I would never have seen that. Secretary of State, do you check to to be what happens to ballots total, that is not how that should be written. The question is, do I check the totals when I submit them to the Secretary of State's office? Yes. What the Secretary of State's office shows on their website and was certified is exactly what was certified here in Fremont County. All 4 times I've been over the election. How do we get ID requirements for in-person voting? Well, most, if not all, people bring in their ID for voting in person. So I'm not sure how you want me to answer this. The only time that I've seen it not happen is if they've already been a registered voter, but they bring in their ID and they bring in a utility bill to prove that they actually live in the place where they live, because not all deeds will have your right address on it. Why were you on the call with Sharona Bishop on Monday? I wasn't. I was spending an anniversary with my wife, and it was our 8-year anniversary. Do you not support your fellow clerk, Tina Peters? That has nothing to do with Fremont County. What I will say is...
But you're our voice for Fremont County to the rest of the state.
I'm our voice for Fremont County. For Fremont County.
Right.
I'm the voice for Fremont County. I have nothing to do with Mesa County, El Paso County, San Juan Pueblo, Denver.
If those counties are cheating,
question?
and you're
You
doing
weren't
things
on a
right.
phone call?
No, the question is, do I support another clerk in another county?
Oh.
And so the answer to this and simply is, until the courts decide what's going on, I have no opinion. Because what she may or may not have done, or what is and it has or has not have happened, may or may not be right or wrong. We don't know. And until we do, I honestly have no opinion. Because I took the oath to uphold the state and federal constitution. And it's unclear what's happening over there, and I know just as much what you guys know. I know what's in the papers. So I don't know what clearly is going on over there, and that's left up to the judicial system, the DA, the AG, the FBI. Do I have the passwords she accused of leaking? Nope. Who pays your county clerks association fees? The county does. Because my staff also go to the association meetings and have those connections with other clerks and with other motor vehicle departments and with other recording departments and other facets of the office, so we can work together to have not only a great working relationship, but also to make sure that if we have questions, sometimes it's better and easier answered by another county than it is the state, especially when you're talking DMV. Matt Crane's wife works for Dominion and heads CCA, conflict of interest. Matt, I don't know about Matt Crane's wife. That's not my job. And Matt Crane was hired and is hired to be the director of the association based on his credentials. Has nothing to do with anything else, and I don't know if she still works for Dominion because I don't keep track of anybody else's business. What about Griswold blocking election integrity? Did her certify bad machines that were not registered? I don't know, I'll have to talk to that person afterwards because I don't understand the question. Unless they would like to speak up. Okay.
It's not me, but I know what they mean.
By all means, Mr. Smith.
Did the Secretary of State certify voting systems that were not properly tested by a federally accredited lab according to Colorado state law?
How? That's a better question left up for the Secretary of State's office. That's a good question for her.
Well, Colorado County clerks are directed only to use certified systems, certified according to state law. So it really is a question for all the clerks as well.
Okay. Does Fremont County use Dominion machines? Yes. What access to machines and ballots of Dominion staff? I'm going to assume that someone's wondering if Dominion has access to the machines remotely, and the answer is no. To the ballots, their physical ballots, they'd have to be here on site, which is no, because I have judges for that. Are Dominion staff ever alone with ballots and machines? They're not here during the elections, and no, they're never alone with machines. Gosh, guys, my eyesight's already going, you can't. Thanks. Can we do our own tests or submit tests? You can core request the ballots and do a hand count if you want. There are things involved with that, so come up with a plan and I will review it and the attorney will review it and we'll give you a price of how much it costs. Or you can buy the images from us, I believe. And I will actually have to reach out. Is it $25 or $35, Jamie, for ballot images?
Ballot images? There's not a set fee for ballot images. We've not ever had them requested. So our county attorney said she'll work out a price once we ever have a request.
So the answer is, if anybody actually requests the images so that they can do their own audit, we will work with our county attorney to figure out an accurate price for that. 1B, Jenna Griswold, you know her? No, I know her by reputation. Who manages and configures the machines? That would be if it's the trusted build, that's a teamwork between Dominion Secretary of State's office and my staff. We look over everything and we do tests on them before the trusted build is completed. If you're talking about the actual configuration of the ballots, that would be my election director. How many folks have access to the machines? That's 5. We should do a forensic audit. Okay. Do you use Dominion? Yes. Windows interface. Oh, that's one. No, that's separate questions. Do you use Dominion? Yes. Windows interface, that's an incomplete question and I don't understand it, so I'm not going to answer it. Can you list the 2002 voting system standards for system audit log retention, since the election code requires Colorado voting systems to meet those 2002 VSS? No, I cannot quote them. Rick says I've answered all these, I'm good. No. Has Dominion made any upgrades to Fremont County voting systems? Yes, they have, with my staff's oversight. Did the county clerk possess the PW password for the voting system, or Dominion have them? The clerks have the administration passwords to the Windows. What percentage of voters voted in 2020? I believe it was in the 80s. I cannot give you an exact percentage. Cameras in use at voting centers? No. Do all ballots go into the machines? Yes. The handwriting's getting better. It's getting bigger. I say it's getting bigger so it's easier to read. How are voter rolls cleaned? So we get daily, weekly, and monthly lists to clean up. That would be national change of address registry, stuff from the DMV, stuff from vital statistics, information from Department of Corrections, and they're done daily. Oh, and voters too. Voters submit their stuff. We get that stuff from voters as well. Do both parties observe? No, they don't. These are voter rolls, and my staff change these on a daily basis. I would not, nor do I think the county has the funds to hire bipartisan judges to sit behind staff 40 hours a day, 52 weeks a year. How do we get rid of mail-in ballots and go back to walk in and show ID? You would need to talk to your legislature to get them to change that, because that is where laws are changed. Why do I always avoid a forensic audit? I don't. It's not required, so we don't do it. elections office, are there equal numbers of Democrats and Republicans? Dem and R supervisors, what's an active voter? I'm assuming it continues, okay. So in my office, I'm not required to have equal numbers of Democrats and Republicans. I do have Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliated individuals working for me. Dem and Republican supervisors, I will assume you're talking about my office, and yes, I actually do. What's an active voter? Someone who keeps and maintains contact with my office somehow, some way, and we don't receive something back from the United States Postal Service saying it's an undeliverable address. How do you find the deployed military addresses? If you don't mind, I want to go back and look at that, and I will answer that question online. Whoever submitted these, because I want to make sure I don't say something that is wrong if it's actually found somewhere. Okay? So I'm going to keep that one. So the question, I'm assuming there's multiple questions here. Do you do computer updates? I do not, the Secretary of State's office does. For the election equipment, and the IT department does it for the county. How was the election called 20 minutes after polls closed? Wasn't in our county, but okay. When you had not counted the ballots, like I said, the tabulation starts after polls close. The media can report on whatever they want or say whatever they want. So if they called the election, then that's on the media. Who has passwords for thumb drives? That would be my staff. How does the Secretary of State verify everything disconnected from the internet? They're there. Has a forensic audit of the 2020 election results of your office been requested? No. Wait, no. I take that back. Yes, it has once, but I've never received something official so that I could give it to the attorney to figure out what needs to happen, so.
Okay, if a forensic audit is called, who pays for that? Does the county pay for that?
No. If someone's wanting to do an audit and do an actual audit, give me the paperwork of how you're going to complete an audit. I'm assuming the only audit that's going to be done is on the ballots, the physical ballots. And you give me a plan, you give me a detail, you tell me how many people are going to be there, and we'll start crunching numbers on everything that needs to happen with it, because I'm the custodian of the records, and those ballots are not going to leave the county building.
Do you have an approximate cost of what that would be? Do you have any idea?
No, because it's never been requested yet. You're talking about, it could be 10 people, it could be 20 people doing this, plus I would have to hire staff to do this. And there's a lot more to it than just coming in and leaving somebody alone with ballots, which I would never do. So in estimated costs, I wouldn't even begin to imagine what that would cost somebody.
So whoever requested would have to find it.
Yes.
Although we can pay for Afghan refugees.
Don't get me started on that. What a travesty. What a travesty. And we left hundreds and hundreds of Americans behind. Now, you probably have heard of conspiracy theories. I probably wrote most of them. I do not trust our federal government. We have Democrats and some Republicans up there that are not working for us. That's why it's crucial that we elect conservative Republicans to represent us. A long time ago, I used to be a Democrat. I was a conservative Democrat. Then I found out there weren't any conservative Democrats but me. So I left. And I've been fighting for the Republican Party and the conservatives ever since.
Do you trust the state government?
Are you kidding me?
Because they pick the voting system.
Right. And you know who picked? Now we'll get into that. It was a lot of the Republican Party at that time that picked Dominion and picked the mail-in ballots. I'm not a favor of mail-in ballots. We never mail ours in. We always bring it in and deliver it. Now, like I said before, we've had ballots we know of friends of ours that live up by us that have been taken out of their mailbox. I don't know if they were destroyed or turned in. But like I said before, that's fraud. But I'm telling you right now, I do not believe any major fraud was done in Fremont County, because I told you what the voting stats were. And I don't believe that Fremont County needs a forensic audit for any reason. Not just because of the cost, but because of the way the election was run. And Justin and his crew have done a tremendous job for Fremont County. I wish the other 63 counties in Colorado were as good as Fremont County. Now, we're small. Shoot, most of the other counties got more independents, and we got total voting people, Democrat, Republican, and Independent. I think we've only got like 29,000 maybe total voting, Democrat, unaffiliated, and Republican. There's only, I think, 5,000 or 6,000 registered Democrats in Fremont County. The Republicans and the Independents are pretty equal. 17,000, something like that. But I'm done.
I believe we need forensic audit, full forensic audit, everywhere.
We need to do a full forensic
Our-
audit to promote it in our state.
Are election rolls checked for valid voters? Well, that would be a great thing for the SOS to answer, because the validity of voters is done by the Secretary of State's office. When a person dies, how soon are they purged after death? When we get the vital statistics information from the Vital Statistics Office, and it's disseminated to each county from the Secretary of State's office, that's how quickly that goes.
How long is that time frame?
It depends. It truly, absolutely depends, because sometimes things aren't submitted as quick from one corner to another. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes doctors wait late. There's variables in that one. This next question has a lot of little writing to it, but I'm going to try this. The Secretary of State. Oh, the postcards, mailed applications from the Secretary of State's office from the, I'm assuming they're talking about the driver's license rules. And honestly, that has nothing to do with Fremont County. That's Secretary of State's office mailing that stuff out. Oh, whoever this is, thank you. They have really good handwriting. When is the redistricting process supposed to be finished? How will that affect your office? Is there a move in Colorado to use picture ID or social security number in addition to signatures for voter verification? So let's answer the first one. When is the redistricting process supposed to be finished? I'm hoping it's finished by the end of the year, because I got work to do. As for the redistricting, they gave the second set of maps for the congressional district. The legislative House and Senate districts will be released, I believe it said on the 13th when I looked at their website, for their next set of maps. How this will affect our office, it depends on if we have one district or two, and depending on where it's moved. So it really just depends, because I haven't seen it, so I don't know what full effects will happen in the county office. Is there a move for Colorado to use a picture ID and SSN in addition to signature for voter verification? I dread putting a social security number on an election envelope, but I am not quite sure. I've been a little busy with, there's been a few deaths in the family, and so I've been a little busy. So I'm not totally sure on this answer.
Nor would I want that social security number on the ballot, much less the envelope.
Do staff get a printout of what's being changed or updated to verify against what is actually done, as it is done for staff?
That was a question off the internet. It says, do staff get a printout of what's being changed or updated to verify against what is actually done as it is done? Are these staff trained in computer software?
So if you're printing out reports, I do not believe it takes computer software to gauge report to report to see what's been changed. If you're talking about stuff in the background, that has nothing to do with changes in this case. I guess it really depends on what the question is really asking, so I can't answer that question. Front and back. I do not have a question, but rather a statement of appreciation. I appreciate your transparency, your willingness to open your office for inspection. I would note that at the last meeting that Ron Hanks inferred that Fremont County election was not done with integrity, even though he has never taken you up on your offer to visit your office and learn about the election integrity of your office. Thank you for your continued public service to Fremont County and the county integrity of you and your staff. I appreciate whoever put this in.